A superstar quarterback has requested a trade. Major League Baseball is about to return, and the Rookie of the Year debate heats up in the NBA. You're watching the Rival Fantasy Podcast. Let's talk about it.
You are now listening to the Rival Fantasy Sports Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Rival Fantasy Podcast. I appreciate you for joining me. As always, I am your host, Neal Maligno. This show is brought to you by the Rival Fantasy app. Check it out now at either www.rivalfantasy.com or on your iPhone, Android device. Look up Rival Fantasy app and you will find it. Download it, sign up, get in there today. Use the promo code RIVAL and start your loss protection up to $50 on your first bet. Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens quarterback, superstar, one of the best, most winningest quarterbacks since he entered the league. The guy crushes it. He wins games. His stats are off the charts, over 12,000 passing yards, way more touchdowns than interceptions. Add on to the fact that he's rushed for over 4,000 rushing yards, 20-something rushing touchdowns. He absolutely crushes it. And somehow we found ourselves in a place where that quarterback has not been able to get a new contract by his team. The team that drafted him, the team he's been on all along. This is not like a new team. This is not him in free agency. This is just him and the team that he's on, and he can't seem to make it work. We don't really know what the true issue is. Only so much details have been released that the Ravens themselves have tried to keep things, relatively quiet. Lamar Jackson has also kept things relatively quiet, but he did come out yesterday, as of this recording, during the NFL owner meeting. I think obviously to probably stir up some conversations, get things going, make a splash since the NFL was in the news. And he says, "A letter to my fans. I want to first thank you all for all the love and support you consistently show towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate y'all so much. I want you all to know, and to not believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions." Again, he took to Twitter, LJ_era8 on Twitter, and he says, and this is the big tweet right here. "In regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization, which the Ravens have not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me knows that I love the game of football, and my dream is to help a team win a Super Bowl." He requested a trade from the Ravens, and it is what it is. This is the first time we're hearing about this. We knew they were in these, contract talks. We knew things were not going well because the contract hasn't been signed. No one thought that the Ravens would actually trade him or that he wanted to be traded necessarily. But here we are. He confirmed that he did request it. Now, here's the thing. As soon as this news dropped, everybody said, "Where's Lamar Jackson going? What's happening? What team do you think he's going to go to? What's going to where?" I get it. It's cool. It's fun. It's fun to think about. However, I think we need to slow down a little bit. I don't actually think Lamar Jackson's get traded. I think that this probably puts more pressure on the team. They're at the NFL owner meetings. They're probably, teams are probably, coming up to them or calling them and saying, "Hey, what's up? Like, Lamar Jackson requested a trade. Let's get this conversation started." But in reality, it's going to take a lot to get Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, more than anyone probably wants to give up. Then when you think about the contract on the other side of that, a lot of the teams who would be interested in a Lamar Jackson are also towards the top of the draft coming up here soon. So they have an opportunity to just pick, rookies that are coming into the league that they like a lot at the top of the draft. Obviously, those guys aren't, Lamar Jackson, or at least we don't know if they're going to be, right? So that obviously comes with risk. But those teams may already be kind of, bought into the idea and sold on the idea of these rookies that they've invested all this time and effort and research into. We'll see. I believe that the Ravens will figure a way, to make a contract work for Lamar Jackson. If I had to bet all my money on it, this is where I'm going. Lamar Jackson stays with the Ravens. They get him closer to a contract that he likes, or they meet his demands in some sense. A lot of people feel like, oh, the whole league is against Lamar Jackson here. They don't want Lamar Jackson to get a fully guaranteed contract, one similar to what Deshaun Watson did. Lamar Jackson's already come out and say, "I didn't request a fully guaranteed contract." I think sometimes we get into these contract talks when it comes to players and we overinflate everything, like the amount they want, the terms of the deal, all this kind of stuff. I think we're just, because we have to guess, right? Because it's not out right now and they're not really openly speaking about it too much. So we're just kind of throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks. But in this case, I really think Lamar's probably not, being unreasonable. I think he's probably asking for something that qualifies for what he should get. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football. As I said, he's won like crazy. He has ability to throw the ball, run the ball. He's not a gimmick. He's not like, oh, we're not so sure. No, he is a bona fide baller. So he's going to get the money he wants, regardless, whether it's from the Ravens or not. If you're thinking, okay, the Ravens are going to trade him, they're not going to sign him, then you're thinking about teams, right? Now you're starting to really, get going. The Falcons, the Commanders. You've seen, people talking about the Patriots. There's the Jets who are trying to get Aaron Rodgers right now, so likely takes them out of the discussion. Teams that maybe would have been involved early on in free agency, the Raiders, the Saints, they went and signed quarterbacks already to lengthy contracts. So you have to assume that takes them out of the running. The Panthers have the first pick in the draft. They traded up for it. So you'd assume they're probably just going to pick their quarterback at one. So there's all these, things. If this was earlier in free agency, it would have been way more interesting, to be honest. Way earlier than, all this, you know, the Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders, Derek Carr going to the Saints. These things, those teams really would have probably been the headliners to get Lamar Jackson before free agency. So where Lamar Jackson goes, we don't know. We don't know how quick this will move, how slow it will move. It's been slow so far. So hopefully it does pick up. Hopefully they do come to a conclusion here shortly, and we don't have to keep dragging this out. And it's not something that goes, closer to the season. Lamar Jackson, I believe, if we're putting the money on now, will be a Raven at the start of the season. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Where do you think Lamar Jackson will be in the 2023 season? Week one, who is he the starting quarterback of? Again, if I'm putting everything on it, I'm saying the Ravens. I think they'll figure it out. I'm curious what you think. Let us know here on YouTube in the comments. On to story number 2. The MLB is back. Well, almost here. It depends on when you're watching this. It's not quite back yet, but you get the idea. I wanted to really quickly talk about Major League Baseball, and you're thinking, Neal, please don't get into stats and all this kind of stuff. No, I'm not. I'm not. It's not what I'm going to do on the show. It's not what we do here. This is, we run through the headlines quickly, our top headlines of the week. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with stats and all that kind of stuff. What I do want to talk about, and I'm happy about this right now, is for me, Major League Baseball, I kind of like go in and out as a big time fan of it. Like I'm super into the NFL, super into the NBA, and MLB. I'm like kind of like I'm always riding the fence on it, like how much I'm into it, how much I'm enjoying it, and how much I'm watching it. I may be a little more sold right now because I am a Mets fan, and so obviously, as you know, the Mets have spent a lot of money this off season, and so that's helped. But in general, I kind of go with like the flow of like, are there fun players? Are there players that are in the headlines? Are they making interesting things happen? In baseball, as we know, from a like pop culture standpoint, from like just a popularity standpoint, and probably with the younger generation and things, it's just not as popular. It's not as fun. The players aren't as well known, and I don't know, who to put that blame on in terms of, is it just the sport in itself and the players who participate in it? Is it the way the sport wants it to be? Is it how baseball wants it to be? Or what? Like, why are baseball players not in the headlines as popular and as basketball players and football players? I don't know what is the root cause of that, but it is what draws me in and out as these things happen, as super intense headlines start coming out, or drama, or home run races, shutouts, all these kind of things. Edwin Diaz, like how that all played out last year with the trumpets and everything, like those kind of things. Shohei Ohtani, these things get me involved, right? So that's how I, move in and out of the sport more than not. And I know you'll probably say, "Come on, Neal, what the hell? You should be a diehard," and I do love it, but just in general, it seems to lack that, which other sports do have. But this year, I feel like you do got Otani, who they're coming off the WBC championship. He's just this special, unique player. He can pitch crazy good. He can hit crazy good. He's like this unique player in the league. And so that kind of stuff makes it fun. These are the kind of things I'm talking about that draws me, right? So that's one of the storylines that I'm watching going into the season as we kick up here. The Jacob DeGrom, situation where he left the Mets, signs this new deal in Texas. And it's like, that's interesting to me. That's something that draws me. That's something that compels me to watch, because here's a guy, again, as a Mets fan, especially, who is considered one of the best pitchers in baseball. We loved having him. Time comes for a new deal and he signs somewhere else. And this is a guy coming off all these injuries where he wasn't playing a lot. And so I'm curious to see, will he revive himself? Will he, get the injuries away from him and really, you know, come back to that dominant position in baseball? Or are the injuries going to continue to just catch up with him, continue to derail his career in some sense, and make Mets fans feel good about not giving him the money that Texas gave him and happy that he chose that way. Then you talk about Carlos Correa, who, the whole ankle saga. He was signing on one team, signing on the next team. They just kept bouncing all over, and nobody would commit to this guy. Then he goes, finds the Twins, back with the Twins, and it just makes sense for him, right? Like everything comes back together. He got the money he wanted, they got their star that they needed, and here we are. We are going to be on ankle watch. Like no matter what we do, like we can't help it. Like, will it happen this year? An issue with it? Who knows? Will it be 5 years from now? Who knows? But these teams were afraid for a reason, and these are teams, especially the Mets, who have no issue clearly throwing around tons of money right now, and they still backed off. Like they still got concerned about it. And the Twins weren't, right? To the point that they at least signed him. And whether that's a desperation thing for an organization who needs a star, whether they're just their doctors say other things, I don't know. But it's compelling to watch. And even just the Mets, like the Mets spent all this money and people were complaining and teams were complaining. Are they the best team in New York even? Who knows? Who knows? Are they is all that spending gonna, equal out on the end of at the end of this, season to a championship or a really good playoff run and a run to the World Series? That's compelling. And so I guess the point I'm trying to say is when I say the MLB is back, I meant it like figuratively and literally. It is back in terms of like opening games are about to kick off soon, but also it's back in terms of there's storylines I'm interested in. There's really good players. And even the World Baseball Classic was fun. It was entertaining. Team USA did their thing. They represented well. It was just a lot of fun. A lot of teams in there. They did really well. Seeing the different countries, seeing the players from around the world represent their country. It was cool. And so you have all these storylines. You have the Turners, the Trouts. You have Aaron Judge. You have all these fun things to watch. So I think MLB is kind of back. It's kind of back. Am I crazy? Do you think MLB is back? Do you find MLB, where do you rank them? Where do you rank the three major sports? NFL, NBA, MLB. And then you start to sprinkle in other stuff, right? Like in soccer, you start to sprinkle in golf, you start to sprinkle in WNBA, you start to sprinkle in all the different sports. And I'm not sure like where MLB has fallen on that line at this point, but for me, it's in the top three. I'm curious for you where it's at. Again, let us know down in the comments on YouTube, or if you're following us on social, hit us up there at Rival Fantasy on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. Do that. And before I get to the final headline of the week, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. We really appreciate it. Over 90% of the viewers of our videos are not subscribed, and we appreciate you guys. Don't get me wrong. We love that you guys are watching, but we would love it also if you just like the video, hit subscribe, showed your support, because it does help us in the YouTube algorithm, which we constantly battle. They are our rival, the YouTube algorithm. We got to constantly try to, figure it out. So if you can go ahead and subscribe to this video, hit like, we really appreciate it. Now on to story number 3. The NBA Rookie of the Year race has heated up. It is a argument at every turn. Who is the Rookie of the Year? Who is it going to be in the NBA? For me, I'm a Magic fan, and it just kind of happened this way. Paolo Banchero obviously is leading this whole race. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what they tell you about Jalen Williams or, Keegan Murray or any of these guys. Jalen Williams is the big debate right now, right? Like that's the guy. He had a hot, month or two. And so he's the guy now who a lot of people are trying to push out there because they just hate the Magic. They hate the Magic. We are not Hollywood enough for anybody. Is that the case? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? You guys just hate the Magic? Paolo Banchero, first pick of the NBA draft, best player in the NBA as a rookie right now. Definitely has had tons of rookies of the months all season long. Don't get me wrong. Jalen Murray, Jaden Ivey, Benedict, Walker, Kessler, all these guys have had great seasons. I'm not doubting them at all. I'm not, knocking them or anything like that. But Paolo has done it all year long. Sure, he's hit some slumps. Rookies hit that. It is what it is. But all year long, Paolo has been the better rookie. And so he has to get the Rookie of the Year in my eyes. I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's still some time of the season left. And on top of that, I just don't think that it's that much of a debate. Shout out to Jalen Williams, the second Jalen Williams on the team. Shout out to Keegan Murray. Shout out to Jaden Ivey. Shout out to all the rookies. Again, not even just these guys that I'm mentioning. There's others who have had great seasons this year. And again, I'm excited about the NBA rookies coming in this upcoming season as well. This is a fun draft coming up, which we'll have to get into at some point. We'll see which episode we talk about that on. But you got Wembanyama, you got Scoot, You had all these guys coming in, the Thompson brothers. There's just a lot happening, right? So the NBA has had a surplus now of young, talented players. They're really getting, the rookies that are in this year, the rookies coming in next year. There's a lot of fun players, a lot of characters, a lot of guys who I think are gonna, be really, really good for teams and also just popular, right? Like as NBA again, I talked about MLB earlier and how it's placed in pop culture. The NBA is doing that a lot right now. Like we see with guys like John Moran, who, trouble aside, is just a fun guy, right? Like he's just really popular on social media and on YouTube and all these places. Like he just goes viral a lot. And so there's a lot of players coming into the league now with that type of, vibe, with that type of aura, with that type of energy. And so it's fun to see. It's fun to see. And then you do got some quiet ones, some silent assassins out there. But again, there's a lot to watch. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. But I put Paolo number one. I think the stats dictate it. I think that the Magic struggling, definitely not struggling. Yeah, they're struggling, right? Like they're not going to make the play in at this point, as that it seems as of today. But if they were making the play in or they're making the playoffs, obviously it would help his case a ton. I think that's what helps like Jalen Williams' case, stuff like this. Some of these other guys who are more playoff bound or their team just has more wins. However, Paolo has been really good. If you've watched him, he's special. If you've watched the games, you know he's good. He's a really good player, and he does a lot of different things. It's not like he's just scoring or just really good on defense or just good at three pointers. He does a little bit of everything. There's a ton of untapped potential there. He's really young. He's only 20 years old. So the Magic in general are a fun team to watch. They're a really young team. They're going to have to get some vets in there, you would think, at some point to really take it over the top. Maybe one vet. I mean, they have 2 picks coming up in the top 10 next year in this draft. So who knows? Maybe they trade them for a vet or trade up in the draft for one player and keep the youth train moving, but just a higher impact player. We'll see how that plays out. But Paolo, by far to me, is the best player on this list. Jalen Williams, I mean, his team looks great. They're also a young team upcoming. All these guys really are on teams that are young, infused with a lot of young talent, and that seem to be making good waves. And so that's no surprise that they're also in the Rookie of the Year race. Like right, like it all comes together in that sense. So who do you think is the NBA Rookie of the Year? You guys know I love chopping it up with you in the comments. Do you think it's Paolo Banchero, or do you think one of these other guys do deserve it over him? Remember, visit rivalfantasy.com, sign up using the promo code RIVAL. It activates a $50 loss protection instantly on your account for your first play. Currently, we're offering challenges, fantasy book, fantasy bingo for NBA. MLB is on the way, as well as season-long best ball for NFL in time for the NFL season. So get on there now, get familiar, play, have some fun, win some money. And then as the season comes around for the NFL season, you'll also have season-long start there. So if you want to move your leagues over there, and then you'll also have best ball that'll be kicking off on there. So get on there now, enjoy the current promo that we're offering. I don't know when the promo offer is going to go away. So just sign up now and use it, activate it, get it on there, make your deposit, use the promo code RIVAL so that you have it. We pride ourselves on offering games that you don't need a math degree to win. You don't need to have all these spreadsheets. You don't need to study all day. We have stuff like fantasy bingo. It's just fun. Challenges. You can go against your friends and family. It's very personal on that level. We have social challenges. We have all kinds of stuff happening. So get on there now. It's rivalfantasy.com or download the app. And once you get on there, create your account, make a deposit, and when you sign up, use the promo code RIVAL, RIVAL. And when you do that, it will activate automatically the $50 and loss protection on your first bet. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions, any feedback, any headlines you want us to discuss. Also, don't forget to follow us on social at Rival Fantasy on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, whatever is your place of choice. Let us know you listen to the show or watch the show, and I'll make sure we follow you back. We're also on all the different podcast apps, so if you prefer to listen instead of watch, you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. Thank you again for all your tons of support. We really appreciate it. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for telling your family and friends about the show and about the website and app. We really appreciate it. That is it for this week. I am Neal. This is the Rival Fantasy Podcast, and we are out.